And now, WZDX Sports with Mo Carter.
And good evening, sports fans. Following the loss of their teammate Danny Johnson, the Alabama A&M football team taking some time off the hill before returning to the practice field late last week. Now Coach Beatty's squad is only days away from the maroon and white game, and from here on out, every practice matters. Ever since satellite camps became a popular thing a few years ago, Alabama head coach Nick Saban has had a strong stance against the idea, especially since the rest of the Southeastern Conference coaches can't host them. What's up, football fans, and welcome to First Down Friday night. I'm Model right now, and over the next few weeks is win or go home. I'm Mo Carter, and she is Hannah Alavito. Chase, Auburn and Alabama both in the running for New Year's Six bowls, and of course, when it comes to the SEC, they wanted to have a great showing in all of these. Alabama 13-0 after winning the SEC championship, and they had their eyes on a playoff spot. And for the third year in a row, the Crimson Tide are heading back to the playoff semifinals. Multiple Auburn seniors are playing for the final time in front of a sold-out Jordan-Hare Stadium on Saturday, and thanks to an injury to Sean White, Tiger senior quarterback Jeremy Johnson will once again have a chance to shine as the starting signal caller. The Peach Bowl is only played one time a year, but the place I'm standing in right now, the College Football Hall of Fame, is open all year long. Now, of course, this is a college football fan's dream place to be. Any and everything you need to know about the sport of college football is within these walls. Now, the Magic City Classic is a celebration for one of the largest HBCU football games in the nation. But on game day, you may notice that some longtime friends, family members, and even colleagues will tend to separate because of the rivalry between A&M and ASU. And that's a classic case between the two head coaches. James Beatty and Alabama State coach Brian Jenkins have a longtime friendship that goes beyond the game of football. But at 12:01 at Saturday morning, that friendship will be put on hiatus because they both are focusing on defeating each other.
Because our friendship is solid, and it outlasts and outstands and outshines everything else. But through it all, we're competitors, and both of us want to win. He understands that, and I understand that. So come Saturday, there is no friendship.
That friendship is not going to be in the front of my mind. It's going to be somewhere in the back, way back there, behind where I'm going to put my trophy when I get it back.
Now, we will wrap things up with a very heartfelt most sports moment. During the USC spring football game, Jake Olsen finally had a chance to get on the football field with the Trojan football team. See, Olsen lost both of his eyes as a child and is legally blind. He recently granted a waiver by the NCAA for a chance to play with his favorite team, and he made the most of his time on the field, successfully snapping 2 balls on a field goal attempt. Both of those field goal attempts were money, and his teammates embraced him while the crowd gave him a standing ovation. So I have to go ahead and do this for that young man, too. Because think about it. He's blind, and he's snapping the ball back to get it perfect placement for the field goal kickers to make the field goal. Alabama A&M taking on Southern University tomorrow evening. Well, one of Southern's most recognizable alums is Alabama men's basketball coach Avery Johnson. And tonight, the Tide head coach was back in the Rocket City for the second time this week. The Southern University Huntsville Alumni Association hosted a salute to Avery Johnson in downtown Huntsville this evening. The event was a fundraiser to help out with scholarships for the university and to help out victims affected by last month's severe flooding in the Baton Rouge area. Coach Johnson was excited to be here once again, and he was really surprised with the total amount of Southern University alums that are here in the Yellowhammer State.
It's amazing to me how many Jaguars reached out to me when I got the University of Alabama men's basketball job. I didn't realize that we had such a large contingency of Jags alumni that lived in not only in Alabama but specifically in the Huntsville, Decatur area. So to know that, those folks still support me, whether I've gone to the NBA, played at Southern, and now coaching at Alabama, guess what? It doesn't matter. The Jaguar Nation still supports Avery Johnson.
And good evening, everyone. Alabama remaining #1 in all the major polls this week, and if any team wants to knock them off, they have to do so in Tuscaloosa. The Tide's final 3 games are all at home, starting with Mississippi State tomorrow at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Last week, Alabama walked away from the LSU game with a win, but the team did have a few physical and emotional wounds, and sometimes that could be a troubling fact for a team because of future letdowns. But Tide head coach Nick Saban does not expect his team to have a letdown this week against the Bulldogs like Texas A&M did against them last week.
I think the biggest thing is We can't have any kind of relief syndrome after a big emotional game, especially when you have a really good team coming up and a new challenge that we all need to respond to.
And good evening, everyone. Over the past 2 years, the Alabama A&M Bulldogs have struggled with depth along the offensive and defensive line. But that will not be the case this year on the Hill. During the offseason, Coach James Spady and his staff made sure to recruit big guys on both sides of the ball. And thanks to those efforts, the offensive and defensive lines are two of the deepest units on the field for Alabama A&M. And every day, these two units are going at it blow for blow. Coach Spady elaborated about the ongoing competition among his big fellas.
There's competition, and those guys getting to a point where they know each other real well, and so the defense kind of anticipates what the offense is going to do, and they end up having some skirmishes, and that's not a bad thing. I like the aggressiveness in the competition.
Big weekend for Alabama A&M. Saturday, Coach Spady and his wife will host the Women's 101 Clinic. Then Sunday at Walmart on Sparkman Drive, they'll host Alabama A&M Day. Football players, coaches, cheerleaders, and band members will all be on hand. Our Most Sports moment takes us to Vikings minicamp in Minnesota. Rookie wide receiver Laquan Treadwell had been parking in Teddy Bridgewater's spot for the past few days. So Bridgewater and tight end Kyle Rudolph taught him a lesson. On his 21st birthday, which was yesterday, they filled his SUV up with fruit snacks. 60,000 to be exact. Treadwell couldn't believe it when he saw the prank, but got a good laugh out of it. He plans to keep some of them and donate the rest to a local charity. So, of course, hey, do not park in the starting quarterback spot or this happens to you.
There you go.
Hey, I like fruit snacks.
I love fruit snacks too, but I guess I need to see if I park in your spot, am I going to get 60,000 fruit snacks? I mean, I can donate them as well.
I don't know. We'll see. Just don't park in my spot.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.